The following program is rated U for universal audiences and is considered suitable for listeners of all ages.
This is a presentation of Dream Realm Enterprises, where dreams are our reality.
Greetings and salutations, friends. Welcome to the Magical Worlds podcast. I am your host, Jon Russell. All right. Well, this one's going to be kind of short and sweet. We are going to be interviewing Persephone Rose, who plays Fitz Redhawk in Magic, Monsters, and Mayhem. But I just wanted to let you guys know that this will be the final episode of the Magical Worlds podcast. It's not the end of Magic, Monsters, and Mayhem by any means, so don't get me wrong on that. The two shows are only related in that this is just where we've been talking behind the scenes and having interviews with our various cast members. And the interviews may continue, but that will be a whole new podcast just for interviews. Everything else, the news on the program and all other Dream Realm programs, of course, will be handled on DBB. So that will just shift primarily to DBB from this point on, because I just don't see the purpose of having two separate podcasts for behind the scenes material. And DBB clearly is the one that everybody kind of goes to. And I think it's more popular than this show. So I just didn't see the purpose of continuing on with this show. So we are ending the Magical World podcast here after this episode. So sorry if that disappoints anybody. And we appreciate the fact that you've been listening so far to this one. We had, I think, 7 episodes last year. And this will be the 6th one for season 2. But it will be the final episode that we do of this particular podcast. As I said, from now on, you will get your Magic, Monsters, and Mayhem news on DBB, which is the Dark Building Backstage podcast, which is there for this sort of thing anyway. Behind the scenes looks at our shows. So that's where you're going to get that information from now on Magic, Monsters, and Mayhem. I just don't see the purpose of going back and forth on these shows. And DBB is the primary behind-the-scenes program anyway. So that's where we're going to be from now on. And I'll try to do that every week or two from now on. And keep you up to date on all this stuff.
Oh, man. I can't believe this.
So my apologies if that does disappoint anybody, but yeah, I just felt it was for the best. I just think it's the right thing to do at this point. And I think 6 episodes for this second season is a good number for a season of shows, at least of this type. Of course, DBB runs pretty much year-round, off and on as we go, and that's the one that everybody seems to go to. So that's just it. That's really the only motivation for this. So at any rate, you'll get all your news on MMM and discussion of behind the scenes stuff on that show and others over there. But for right now, we are going to be talking to Persephone Rose for our final interview on this show. And of course, Persephone Rose plays Fitz Redhawk, our new, fairly new companion or party member with Rosa Dernhelm's group. And he will be talking about playing Fitz, his audio career, how he got started, and so forth in this interview, which is pretty cool. And I hope you guys listen in. So keep listening, and after the clip that we have for you with Fitz Redhawk, we will be talking to Persephone Rose. All right, here we go.
Well, bless me beard and me long, long nose. What the devil was that?
I was afraid something like this might happen. sooner or later.
That you would get caught, you mean?
It's an imposter then.
So it seems, Greybeard. A shapeshifter.
In a manner of speaking, yes.
I should get the others.
Please don't. I can explain.
Yes, I think you should.
Too right he should. And the explanation better be a damn good one.
I'm sure it will. Let's give this little fellow a chance, eh, Greybeard?
Hi there, Persephone Rose, and welcome to the Magical Worlds podcast.
Thanks for having me.
So, tell us about yourself and how you came by a name like Persephone Rose.
Yeah, so it's not my birth name, as you've guessed. It's a name that I chose for myself. I've always been fascinated by the story of Persephone from Greek mythology. I heard it for the first time when I was a kid, and it really just sort of blew my mind. If you're not familiar with it, Persephone is the daughter of Demeter, who was the goddess of the spring. And she was kidnapped by Hades and taken into the underworld. And so to be Hades' wife. And so when she's in the underworld, her mother refuses to let the spring come out and let the flowers bloom and such. And that's how we have winter. And then so when she's allowed to come back up to the surface to be with her mom, her mother lets the springtime come out. And that story basically is the Greek mythology that explains where the seasons come from. And when I heard that story as a kid, it totally blew my mind, and it really stuck with me. And so when I was looking for a name for myself, which is one of the rites of passages you get as a transgender person, forging your own identity and such, that story came back to me because it's all about the transitioning of the seasons. And so I felt that it was just a beautiful metaphor for the situation that I found myself in. And so I took it for myself. And I also like that it's kind of dark, and mysterious, underworld and all that.
So how did you get into voice acting?
So I got into voice acting because I just think it's really neat. I've always thought it was really neat. Did a lot of stage acting in school, in elementary school through high school. And I love it. But voice acting is really cool because there are so many characters that I can't play, because of the way that I physically look, But with voice acting, you're really not as limited as you are in the physical world. And I don't have to spend hours in the makeup room and getting costumes fitted and stuff. I can just come into the studio, get in front of the microphone, and just become the character. And it's a very, very pure experience in acting that I really love, and have a lot of fun with. And I'm not limited by the physical. I mean, I can play any character that I can turn my voice into. It can be something as crazy as this, which is a character that I do in Emperor Pigs, called Fernod. He's like a little 1/4 devil, short little guy. And I mean, I'm a very big person, and without a mocap suit or something, I would never be able to play him, but I can do that. And it's really neat, just through voice acting. Plus, I wouldn't want to wear all that makeup, for a character like that. It'd be dripping off my face and really gross and distract from the experience, I don't know. That's just me. Not that I'm against stage acting or film acting, but voice acting is very liberating.
What types of characters do you like to play? Do you prefer to play the good guys or the bad guys?
So, characters I like to play is a fantastic question. I love playing all kinds of characters. Good guys, bad guys. Bad guys are a lot of fun, definitely. But heroes are also great. I love it. Any sort of any character, man. I mean, what I really like is not so much their alignment and morality. It's more about who they are, what's their history? What have they been through? What's their struggle? That's what draws me to a character. And yeah, I love inhabiting that headspace, that mindset of a different person with different experiences, and the more different, the better. So like with Magic, Monsters, and Mayhem, it's a story all about this sort of alternate world of fantasy and magic, and the experiences that these characters are having are so different from our everyday lives that it's a really fun and exciting world to get into.
Tell us a bit about who Fitz Redhawk is.
Fitz is, well, at least he was pitched to me, and I've kind of like kept this in mind as a sort of roguish, handsome Han Solo type smuggler, very knowledgeable about the world he's in, and kind of a little bit of a ladies' man. And he is very interesting to play, because I don't know that I necessarily identify as a ladies' man, in real life, but it is definitely a lot of fun to become, this handsome fellow that's, well, hello there, Rosa. I'm a dashing smuggler, and this is what I do, and I'm knowledgeable. It's fun.
And what's it been like to play Fitz?
It's been great playing Fitz, man. I mean, getting to be this, good-looking hunk that the ladies fawn over. Whether or not they fawn over him, that might just be in his head. But yeah, it's definitely a fun headspace to be in.
Well, thanks for joining us on the Magical Worlds podcast. It's been a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, that was Persephone Rose, who plays Fitz Redhawk. Fascinating to talk to this guy, and of course he's very talented and does his own shows, which I hope you will check out. Everything is linked on our website, so you can find that in the show notes of this show from the other week, or rather, my apologies, from DBB the other week. We have some show notes which include links to the websites where you can find Persephone Rose's other programming, what they do originally themselves. There's a show called Emperor Pigs, which is a funny little quirky comedy. We also have them linked on our friends page on DreamRealmSite.com, so you'll find links to their shows over there.
All right, have a seat, class, and let Fernand educate you.
From executive producer Persephone Rose.
We've all got something we're dealing with here, and sometimes things get rough.
In a city populated by monsters and demons.
I want 6 pizzas, topped with your freshest sacrificed goat.
Comes the story of a pizzeria that also sells weed.
Hey G-Man, you got any new bud flavors?
One crew must face unprecedented challenges.
Let me talk to your manager.
Anything with meat on it.
You are definitely overcharging me. Of all the terrible customer service atrocities,
we just have to push through and try our best.
Let the transference of spirits begin.
As the dough rises,
just what kind of business are you running around here, huh?
And an empire falls.
We didn't order any stinking pizza. Hey, wait! What shop did you say you were from again?
You aren't really going to kill him, are you?
I told him you'd be nothing but trouble. Imagine my surprise when it turned out I was right.
Hey, boss. Fernie's gone and lost us another driver.
Get me my silver bullet gun, now!
My offspring have a basic right to eat.
You are under arrest on cross-dimensional terrorism charges. We have extensive evidence linking you to massacres in at least 6 distinct universes.
Postal Roach Audio proudly presents Emperor Pigs, Pizza, and Cigs.
Believe it or not, we've dealt with worse situations around here.
EmperorPigs.com.
All right, we are wrapping this up, and this is indeed, as I said, the final episode of the Magical Worlds podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening to this show and for your support. You guys have listened in, and I have appreciated it. But we now will be switching over to DBB exclusively, so you will catch me there in, I'd say, probably another week or two, maybe sooner than you think. But at any rate, until then, keep adventuring and stay tuned. Alright, this show, the Magical Worlds Podcast, has been produced and edited and hosted by yours truly, Jonathan Patrick Russell. The music you heard on this show was provided by Kevin MacLeod. And that's pretty much about all we can say. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you soon for more interviews as well as behind the scenes stuff. We'll have an interview program coming up in the future, which will catch the interviews with our cast members and everything else you can catch on DBB with me, your host, Jon Russell. Be sure to keep tuning in to Magic, Monsters, and Mayhem, because Book 3 is not over, and will continue for the rest of the summer, right up through the end of August. So, thanks guys for listening. We love you so much. We will talk to you again soon.
This program is copyright 2019, all rights reserved, and is brought to you by Dream Realm Enterprises. The journey continues.
Merde, I can't believe this.